Greetings and welcome to Sports 101, the sports show that discusses sport beyond the X's and O's. We like to expand our conversation on sports to include the history, past, present, and in the making. We also look at the game from a people, places, and cultural perspective. My name is Jamar Harp. I am your host. Please be sure to follow me on Twitter at Coach_Harp412. Also, please get social with SportsZone Chicago and the rest of his affiliate shows. Please follow us on Twitter at SportsZone CHI, Facebook at SportsZone Chicago, and Instagram at SportsZone Chicago. Please remember, SportsZone Chicago is a sports talk app. Actually, the first sports talk app of its kind, black owned and operated. We want this to expand nationally. You can watch and listen to my show as well as a variety of other shows and keep up with podcasts by following the YouTube channel. More importantly, we need everyone to subscribe to the Sports Zone Chicago app. The app can be found in the iTunes, Google, and Amazon stores. Before we start our show, I would like to give a quick announcement. Um, this message is for William Timms. He's one of our players. Recently, he experienced a travesty. He woke up and his father didn't wake up with him. Livingstone football and athletic community, hearts and prayers go out to you, William. We're here to support you, and just know that his wishes will be kept, and we're going to continue to do great things with you. So, William Timms, we got you. All right. So now let's move on to today's show. Today's topic is nationalism and culture, the Siphiwe Baleka story. This picture right here is Siphiwe Baleka, and we'll kind of get to his name and everything and as the show unfolds. So just please stay with me. Before we start off, I would like to talk about some components that I stated in the title, and specifically nationalism and culture. So nationalism is defined as a love and pride for one's country. Oftentimes in the media age, people demonstrate nationalism through sports. If you look at the Dream Team era, the United States was losing in basketball, and other teams were sending professionals. So they quickly abandoned the amateur concept and let its professional athletes play to increase the nationalism of not only the country, but the sport within the country. It also, again, it's pride is a critical component, and it's based on a race, class, gender, and all those components differ based on, your race and how you're looked at and defined in American culture. So my experience may be different than someone who is Hispanic or of European American descent, due to the parameters that were set in this country far before my birth. Um, Also, we want to look at opportunity and monetary gain as factors which lead to shifting a country uh, in regards to what you want to represent. Um, a lot of these times, these athletes, even though they're nationalistic, they may go play for another country. And those reasons being, um, like I stated earlier, their nationalism, they do have a love and pride for one's country, but that pride, differs depending on how they were treated, their forefathers, etc. And also availability in regards to being able to play the sport. If you look at United States men's track team, this has been going on for a long time, where athletes will run for a Caribbean nation. Um, and there's other examples. You got Giuseppe Rossi, who left and went and plays for Italy because his grandparents were from there. And then there's current examples with the United States men's soccer team, where a lot of Mexican Americans are conflicted in who they should play for, either Mexico or the United States. So nationalism and culture, all come into play to that. At the 2018 Olympics, 6% of athletes competed for a country that they did not grow up in. The Olympics, and this is a quick fun fact that you may not know, the only requirement in an Olympic charter is that an athlete be a national of the country for which or he or she is competing. So they just have to become a nationalized citizen. So anyone who wants to compete for a different country, you must do so 3 years after they last competed for their previous country. So I can be an American sprinter and go to the U.S. Nationals and finish, one place out of making the team, and then 3 years later I can run for Trinidad and Tobago, or the Bahamas, or there's a lot of different options that are going on right now. Um, and again, some of these athletes, they make these choices due to competitive reasons, as previously stated. Now let's look at the definition of culture. Culture is defined as customs, achievements, and social institutions of a particular group, which also leads to country switching. Sometimes the culture in which they grew up in, again, is marginalized and they have greater opportunities, elsewhere. Um, Oftentimes, if you're a fifth place Olympic sprinter for the United States, you can go to another country and be a national hero, go to the Olympics and, still finish, fifth against the same people you raced with in college. But you're the highest placed of that particular island or small nation. They never had anyone finish in the top 10. So now you're a national hero. You don't work anymore. Now you're a head track coach for the entire island. Uh, and you begin, another career just based off of a decision that you made and want to represent another country based off these rules. Um, Here are some pictures of some individuals that have done this so you can get a better representation. The first picture is Mamie Biney. She was born in Ghana, but she moved to the United States when she was 5. So she grew up here. She's a United States speed skater. So she actually had the opportunity to compete for Ghana, even though they didn't have a team. They have some provisional rules that allow you, if you're a nation that doesn't have a team, to get into the Olympics. But she had better training in the United States. Then you have Serge Ibaka. He's from the Congo, NBA player, but he plays for Spain. I remember a lot of times when European nations colonized, and there's some African countries that do speak Spanish. Uh, the players either play for their home country or a country where they have colonial ties to. So again, Serge Ibaka's from the Congo, and that plays for Ghana. And then the next two individuals are very unique. They grew up in the same household and played for two different countries. The first is Jerome Boateng. He's a central defender for the German national team. Uh, and he grew up in Germany, but his father's from Ghana, and he decided to play for Germany. And his brother Prince Boateng, who again is Jerome's brother, he felt more culturally related to Ghana, so he played for Ghana, and he was a member of that Ghanaian team that beat the United States in the World Cup and lost to Argentina with the infamous handball and the game going to PKs, and obviously Ghana losing. But again, this is two people that grew up in the same household, and one felt closer to the German mother and decided to play for Germany, and one felt closer to the Ghanaian father and decided to play for Ghana. Both had opportunities to start for both countries, excuse me. However, due to culture and individual preference, they end up playing for two different countries. Then we have Siphiwe Baleka. He's a African American, and he's the nature of today's show. His picture is being shown right now. He's currently competing for Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is a small West African nation who never really had a national swimming program, but again, to Olympic rules, he's competing for Guinea-Bissau. He's actually trying to raise money to get back there. He's been stuck in the United States due to COVID regulations, so he can continue training and fundraising for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, which have been delayed. All right, so let's get into this. Who is Siphiwe Baleka? Uh, Siphiwe Baleka, he's the founder of Fitness Trucking. Fitness Trucking is an LLC that gets truckers to increase their fitness. He's wrote a book called 4 Minute Fitness, where you can do 4-minute workouts every day and decrease the amount of carbs that you eat. And he'll guarantee, 2-pound loss along with drinking water and, doing other things, decreasing your size of your meals and increasing the volume. So eating 4 to 6 small meals a day. He's had a great impact in the trucking industry. Um, he also is a driver and health fitness coach at Prime Incorporated. Now, Prime Incorporated is a commercial trucking company that's based in Springfield, Missouri, and they have approximately almost 7,000 drivers. Um, Again, we'll talk about how he got to these positions later. He's also served as a driver, health educator for both Road King magazine and the Trucking Network magazine. So he's a fitness analyst for truckers. He's created a niche market for himself, and actually he's become an innovator in this industry. Um, he was born as Anthony Blake or Tony Blake. He's a resident of Illinois. He's from Montgomery. He was born April 14th, 1971. Um, he was always into sports, but at 10 years old, his gifts really began to come out, and he became a YMCA state champion swimmer. The YMCA used to have swim leagues throughout the state of Illinois at that time, and he won the state championship from the Montgomery region. At 12 years old, he was continued swimming. He is the nephew of former Olympian Hayes Jones. He was a hurdler in the 1960 Olympics. You can see a picture of his uncle Hayes right here, and him and his father met, and they ultimately decided that this is his uncle right here, Hayes hurdling. They decided that he was going to become an Olympic swimmer. Um, he then began to pursue this sport vehemently, as a passion. He became nationally ranked, and he accepted the chance to join the Yale swim team as a freshman in 1993. Now, this was a remarkable feat, not only because he's of African descent, because of his size as well. Siphiwe is only 5'8", and at that time he was 130 pounds. If you know anything about the swim world, it's usually longer individuals, as they can cover more distance, be more, I guess, streamlined in the water, and just attack it in a different manner than a smaller individual that will have to, whose energy output will have to be doubled to keep up with these 6'7", these tall swimmers. So he was an anomaly in itself, but he accepted the opportunity to go to Yale. Remember, the Ivy League doesn't offer scholarships, so grant aid situation, which is pretty much a scholarship. So he was going for free, and he became the first black swimmer on the Yale swim team. Um, Yale used to be a powerhouse swim team in the 40s and 60s, and they were always striving to get back on top. And this 93 class, along with some other individuals they created, happened to be their one shining moment in the swimming world. So, as a true freshman, he helped Yale win the 1993 Ivy League championship. You can see a picture of him right here. This is uh, a picture of one of his books he's wrote. Again, he's an accomplished author, and you see his shirt. It says Balanta. That is the tribe or cultural ethnic group that he's from. His paternal side is from, and Guinea-Bissau. So he's representing that, and you see the Pan-African flag. There's a lot of West African countries that implement this flag. Again, the red would be for the bloodshed, the gold for the natural resources within the land, and obviously the green for the land and the economic opportunities. In the picture where you can see he is the only black face. If you look at the height of all the other swimmers, um, he is they tower above him, and yet he was the star of the team. Um, the swimming world at this time was still ignorant to African American swimmers. Why do I say that? There was a quote from a Los Angeles Dodgers executive named Al Campanis, and he said, "Why are black men or black people not good swimmers? Because they don't have buoyancy." It was a common misnomer that people of African descent have a greater bone density, so therefore they're not as buoyant as other races, but it helps them in other sports. Again, this has been debunked by modern science, but this was a connotation that was prevalent at this time and probably still is. So again, Baleka, he realized stereotypes that were going on around him. Remember, he's not only a black swimmer at Yale, but he's one of the few people of African descent there as well. So he's already in a microeconomy within a microeconomy of the Ivy League. So he realized the stereotypes around him, and you know uh, he kind of decided that he didn't want to just compete in the sprints. Oftentimes, when you did have black sprinters, there's a theoretical concept called stacking, is which you put people um, of the same race or gender in the same position. So, for example, in football, if you look at coaching, you always see minority coaches as defensive back, wide receiver, uh, linebacker, very rarely brain center positions such as offensive coordinator, offensive line. Um, and that's again an example of stacking, seeing people in the same positions. So he didn't want to have this stereotype. So he really fought to do more than just sprints. Because again, it says he's, most times only, black sprinters, all they have is speed. They can't go a long distance. They can go short, but after that, they just tire out. Um, Again, he got turned off by not only what was going on and how he was judged on the swim team, but just the school as well, like the Ivy League culture, which oftentimes excluded people of color. Um, it was very difficult for him. Excuse me one second. So yes, basically what happened is he compromised with his coach. So they decided that he was going to swim the 50, the 100, the 200 free, along with the 1 and 200 breaststroke. On the breaststroke, because he can get up and down out the water quickly due to a small size. And again, he compromised on this because he was good at the sprints, but he just didn't want to be marginalized. That's all he can do. So his sophomore year, he finished fifth in the conference and was named All Ivy League. Again, this was a great accomplishment. He was a 5'8" black swimmer from Montgomery, Illinois, competing against elite swimmers that are the stereotypical height, 6'5" and up. That's been with elite swim clubs their whole lives, getting expert training. And this is a guy from the YMCA, and he's fifth in the conference, and he's all Ivy League. He got so good, he was invited to the Olympic trials in 1991, and he was vying for a spot in the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, the infamous Dream Team Olympics, and he missed making the United States team by point eighth of a second. Remember, in swimming, everything is timing, so that eighth of a second kept him out the Olympics. He was so hurt, and then at his age, Olympic swimmers usually peak out in their mid 20s. He didn't want to train for the '96 Olympics, so he went through a serious bout of depression. And again, this is how you can tell it's Ivy League experience. It was a suicide attempt, and he was found with a whole bunch of pills. But again, he was able to be brought back, and he stated he wasn't really trying to kill himself. It was just educational. Oftentimes at these Ivy League schools, pills and different things are part of the undercover scene, and he just took it as that's just something they do. He wasn't trying to kill himself, but he just had to get the pain away. Um, After being committed to the hospital, his coach was able to get him out when he guaranteed that his safety. So his junior year, he kind of got back in the groove and continued to swim. and this is the first year that Yale hosted the HYP meet, and that's the Harvard Yale Princeton meet. And now that's a staple event for the Ivy League swimming HYP. But this is his first time it happened. So before the event final, the 400 freestyle, Yale they trailed Princeton by 1 point, and obviously he won the race. And Yale had their first Ivy League championship in 20 years. So they had to beg him to come back his senior year. Again, he was a very aloof individual. He would just do different things. Wasn't cut from the conventional cloth. Doing things like darkening out your room just to see the effects of uh, isolation on the brain, things like that. He would do experiments on himself per se. Um, so the coach, they kind of urged him not to quit and said, "You don't really got to practice with the team. You can do your own thing." But he didn't make it through his senior year, and he left school, without telling anyone. Oftentimes in the Ivy League and other, I guess they call tier or research one institutions, sometimes people get a great business deal and leave and quit school, but he was just months away from graduation and just decided to quit. All he had to do was take his finals. Um, was it Yale burnout, which is common, Ivy League burnout? Did he leave for opportunities? But why did he really leave Yale? Um, Again, he was a very aloof individual, and sometimes he took things to heart. His senior year, he had a assignment and he had to do a paper on love of fate, which is a component of extensionalism, which is free thinking, and developing this free thinking class. And that again aided to his ideas of why do I need to be at Harvard. Um, at his time, he had ingratiated himself into Harvard, even though he saw the disparities. He joined a secret society, not a fraternity, but a secret society. No one knows. Some people say Skull and Bones. They have 8 secret societies at Harvard that are somewhat similar in nature. Obviously, the most popular would be Skull and Bones. There's a lot of presidents that are a member of that. There's a pseudo movie about that, I believe. I think I saw it on Netflix. But he is in a secret society, and he just had that full experience. Um, at some point, I think he kind of realized that, I guess how much he was trying to fit in. He didn't. He think he had like an aha moment, and he began to be turned off by Ivy League culture, which again often excludes people of color. And he told his roommate right before finals his senior year he was just going to quit school and leave. So his roommate gave him a handful of cash. He literally took some peanut butter and bread and his clothes, and he hitchhiked back to Illinois. And then he told his dad he was going to drop out of school. So his dad, I guess he figured, his mom and dad were like, what's going on? Been in school for 4 years. All you gotta do is take, 3 tests, which are, just write something and turn it in. You're a senior at Yale. You're not gonna fail. Didn't mean to rhyme, but yeah. So like, why are you doing this? And then I guess they figured he would, find himself. At that point, you can always get readmitted because people take sabbaticals or different trips around the world to find themselves. Sometimes if you come into money or just want to take some time off. So he traveled the world for the next 15 years, and he made stops in Amsterdam, Prague, Honduras, Trinidad, Togo, and Ethiopia. He spent a lot of time in Africa. And in 1995, he had his first child and decided he would come back to Yale and get his degree. So in '96, he showed up at Yale and he paid his bill for a semester, but he didn't have any money left for housing. So he was used to the squatting moment experience, or the squatting movement. And squatting is just finding a place to stay and just posting up and living there. They call it being homeless in the United States, but In Europe, it's called squatting. It's supposed to be like, experience, where you just find an abandoned building and everyone lives in it. So that's what he did. And when he went back to Yale, he stayed in abandoned buildings, and ate at soup kitchens during the semester until he graduated. So he's an Ivy League student, living a homeless person, eating soup kitchens. At one point, he ran into his old swim coach, who again, due to the what they call cultural differences, oftentimes it's ignorance at this point due to so much education we have with social media and technology, due to him having locks and wearing Afrocentric clothing. His coach called him a Rasta. Um, them Siphiwe kind of laughed at him and said he did want to be the head coach of the Ethiopian swim team. Um, During his travels, he became more interested in helping individuals, and became more consciously and social aware, not only of himself but his culture and his people. So upon graduation, he moved back to Chicago, and he worked with the Nkrumah Washington Community Learning Center. And if anyone knows about this learning center right here, it's in the middle of a hot gang infested community. And he decided to put his roots there. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about Siphiwe and get to how he's going into the Olympics. I know if you are listening, you're listening to the years and saying, well, he was in college in 1993. How is he going to be in the 2020 Olympics? That's already late. Stay tuned. You'll find out. We'll be right back.
With coronavirus still spreading, people at higher risk must take extra precautions. You're at higher risk if you are over 65, or if you have any serious underlying medical conditions, like heart disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, or if your immune system is compromised for any reason. If you're at higher risk, wash your hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face. Disinfect frequently touched objects. And wash up after being in public spaces. And when it comes to social situations, less is better. Stay 6 feet or 2 arm lengths away from other people. Better still, stay home if you can. If you're sick, please stay home and away from others. And if you think you've been exposed to the virus, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. In challenging times, the choices you make are critical. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Compassion, noun. Sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. We're all born with it. It's in us. Don't believe me? When you hear a baby cry, something pulls at you. You want to ease that pain. You want to soothe that hurt. No one had to teach you that. It's called compassion, and it's in you. However, at some point you turned it off when it came to me.
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 The cries of my soul have gone unheard, but today, you will hear me.
My heart has wailed a melody loud enough to shatter your ears, and you ignored me. But this week, you will hear me.
This body has beat the drums of anguish, only to be silenced. But this month, you will hear me.
This year,
This decade,
This century,
I will be heard, and
you will be the one to hear me.
and when I am finally heard,
Show compassion.
show compassion.
show compassion.
Remember, it's in you.
Welcome back. I'm Jamar Harp, and this is Sports101, the sports show that discusses sport beyond the X's and O's. Again, we like to talk about sport from the people, places, and social perspectives, looking at hit sports through the lens of history in the past, present, and in the making. Please make sure you get social with Sports 101 and a litany of other shows on SportsZone Chicago by following us on Twitter at SportsZone CHI, Facebook at SportsZone Chicago, and Instagram at SportsZone Chicago. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, search SportsZone Chicago, but most importantly, download the SportsZone Chicago app. Again, this is Black owned and operated, and we want to spread this nationwide. Please find SportsZone Chicago on iTunes, Google Play, and the Amazon stores. Now back to our show. We talked about how Siphiwe had just went back to Chicago and just trying to figure out who he is. So now let's get back. Again, he got the itch to move. So on his 30th birthday, he went back to Africa. Or let's give you a quick recap. Again, he graduated and he moved back to Chicago to work with the Nkrumah Fund. But again, he wanted to just travel and learn history and culture. So he went back to Africa. He stated he didn't know who he was. He didn't know his history. And as a person of African descent, he wanted to know, where he came from. Again, this is often for people in academia that you learn so much about, other cultures. And then when you found out the rich history, not only of Africa, but in particularly, West Africa, what a lot of people don't realize is the West Africans, and particularly Carthage, which is present day Ghana, is the only people that defeated Rome. Rome conquered, East Africa to some degree. Egypt, they never got further south into Nubia, but in the Punic Wars, which were several Punic Wars, was started with Hannibal Barca's father. Rome and Carthage, which is again present-day Ghana, fought to a standstill, and they began trading with Carthage. They would trade, animals for Colosseum fights, etc. So there was a great mutual respect, and learning of this great history of these West African kingdoms, Ghana, Mali, Songhai, the achievements in Angola, with Queen, the last Candace Anne Nzinga, and her battles with the Portuguese. There's a lot of great history in West Africa. So Siphiwe wanted to get back to this. So in his travels, he stopped in Ghana, Benin, Togo, which are all in West Africa. And then he went across the continent. Remember, this is not close to go from Togo to South Africa. You could fit the United States 3 times in continental Africa. So he went from West Africa to the southeasternmost tip, which is right on the Indian Ocean, the country of South Africa. And he also stopped in Ethiopia for a brief moment. To do this, he used money he had saved up, and then along the way, again, he had got the notion that money was evil, so he wanted to use his skill set to fulfill him on his journey. He would make wood furniture and do desktop publishing when he had a chance. When he was in South Africa, I remember South Africa, Johannesburg, its capital, is very similar to the United States. They had an apartheid region, which was influenced from the Boers who colonized that area, and it was kind of split. So they had a township called Soweto, which is the Southwestern Township. It's an acronym for it. So they pushed a lot of people out there in Johannesburg. Then you have other cities like Durban, which is by the capital of KwaZulu Natal, which is the head of Zululand. Zululand is the ancestral homeland of the Zulu tribe, whose most famous ruler, Shaka Zulu. His son defeated the British. They came back, and obviously with guns, was able to overtake the Zulus, but their first battles, they actually overtook the British. They implemented a different fighting style, a bull and horn style. They had a lot of war inventions, the short spear. They were great runners. There was a lot of history in the Zulu culture. So he went to Zulu land and he met with tribal elders. And what they told him is that when a son of Africa returns back to the soil, a new name should be conferred upon him. He should lose his Anthony, Blake, because obviously the last name is who owned his family. And Anthony, even though it was his first name, if he wouldn't have been, captured, or his forefathers wouldn't have been captured, he wouldn't have been named Anthony. So in taking his new name, they dubbed him Siphiwe, which is a common name around the Xhosa and Zulu tribes. The Xhosa and Zulu are connected, and Siphiwe means a gift of the creator. So for his surname or last name, he chose Baleka. And Baleka is an anagram of Anthony Blake, his name he was given at birth, A. Blake. So you see Baleka, A. Blake. And appropriately, that means fast and who has escaped. So he is fast, and at that point, I guess in his mind, he escaped the matrix per se of striving. He he dotted all his I's, he crossed his T's. He had the Ivy League degree. He still wasn't happy. He still didn't feel accepted. So even with his Ivy League education, he didn't work in his field. He would volunteer at community centers with an Ivy League degree. So he had a distaste for, I guess, that type of culture. So I guess that's what he escaped from. So he came back to the United States and was looking for a job that he can have some freedom and still explore himself and learn. He began learning Zulu, and in 2008 he started driving trucks. Now after 2 months, he leased to own, and he owned his truck. And again, at this whole time, he's teaching himself Zulu, developing a more Afrocentric or Pan-African mindset. And he noticed after 1 month on the job, he started to gain weight. And being a fitness guru, being a swimmer, he was always in shape, and he knows a lot of education about this as well too. So what he discovered is oftentimes, and this is just a quick tidbit for anyone, including myself, because I've been getting more sleep, and my face is getting a little smaller. So oftentimes due to people's schedules and not sleeping at night, only sleeping a little bit at night, the metabolism that enacts when you sleep to burn fat doesn't happen because your body is not taking it as your sleep. You get 3 hours here, 3 hours there, versus if you got a full 8 hours, your body would be sleep, and then it will start those inner processes, which would increase your metabolic rate, and then you would burn calories, while you're sleeping. Henceforth, when you have a good night's rest, you wake up and you're hungry. Um, so oftentimes, due to his schedules, he didn't get good sleep. So he started doing different things, trying to work out. So he would take cardboard boxes and work out next to his truck. He bought a fold up mountain bike and put it in the passenger side of his cabin. He had P90X videos, but he didn't have a TV like outside the truck, so would do that off of his phone. He started to call local YMCA's and see if he could bring his semi to work out, and he did a lot of things to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Again, he's wrote a book called 4 Minute Fit. That's one of the first things that he did was you can do a 4 minute workout and decrease your carbohydrates and have smaller meals and increase your water intake, and you should lose at least 1 pound a week. So in doing this, of course, he started to swim again. He would find different pools to go to about 4 in the morning and swim for an hour. And this is in his 40s. So in 2011, he entered his first U.S. Masters swim meet. So if you know anything about Masters competition, it's usually former, athletes. They take it seriously, high competition athletes, either Olympic or professional, and they compete in Masters events where they're doing the same things, but obviously the times are a little lower due to their age. So his first Masters event, he won the 100-meter individual medley, and he qualified for the U.S. Masters Nationals in Arizona. So at 40 years old, he won the 50 free there with a time of 22 seconds, which is a few seconds off of college time, but still great. And he won 100 free in 48.4 seconds. Um, Again, this was instrumental not only in what he was doing in regards to trying to get back to swimming, but for his fellow truckers. Remember, he did a lot of research on truckers, and what he found out that the average age of death of truckers was 61. The truck driving industry, has the highest obesity rate of any occupation. They also have high rates of heart disease, and that's due to long periods of sitting still. He stated that oftentimes when you're on a truck, you just take the highway, so you don't take the off roads like the Route 66s in America anymore. So you're always at truck stops that have fast food. You can't even get a home cooked meal. So there's a lot of disadvantages to the truck driving industry in regards to health. So what he did was he proposed to the company that he was working for that he wanted to stop driving and become a fitness coach for his drivers. And what he said was to the owner, if you let me do this, you'll save a lot of money in insurance and healthcare costs. They'll be reduced. You won't have to get new drivers, and you'll improve efficiency by having a better driver that's not having medical problems, and just have a better outlook on life. So the owner agreed, and he set up a 13-week nutrition and fitness program for his drivers. This was revolutionary for this industry. Obviously, with his Yale education, some of his friends, they developed the app. And in the app, this is an app for truck drivers to work out. It tracks the truck drivers' biometrics when they're sitting still, i.e., resting heart rate. Resting heart rate is a good indication if someone is in shape. So my resting heart rate should be very low. And then if I did do an activity, if I'm in shape, it should be able to go down at a certain rate because I'm used to breathing and working my heart, so my heart is going to slow down, and that's how you can tell the fitness level of a person. So he was doing great with this. Uh, uh, They track their sleep, their caloric intake, and he also had workouts for the truck drivers in this app. So they can go on their side of their truck again and do a 4 minute workout. That's a full body workout along with, let's say we're only going to go to Subway and eat 5 times a day, but you can get a whole foot long sub, but you can have no cheese, just meat and vegetables on wheat bread. And that's all you can eat and have, water. So just doing different things like that, the drivers start to experience a difference. And he won several awards in the truck driver industry. He was also at one point in time called the fittest truck driver in America. Um, so again, his quest for working out and just trying to do things, again being 5'8" and 130, most people call it a short man complex, but he always had a drive to do things that he said couldn't be done. Um, so he started doing triathlons, and he entered an Ironman triathlon in South Africa, excuse me. And while he was doing this, he was still doing his truck driving at the time. He started fitness trucking. He became a columnist or writer for two trucking magazines. He began speaking at workshops. He tests digital health equipment and sports equipment, and he makes recommendations to trucking firms. Again, he's revolutionized the industry where truckers are actually investing, trucking companies are investing in their drivers, health. And they didn't do that before. And again, he made the quote that he wanted to revolutionize the industry and make the unhealthiest occupation one of the healthiest. So in 2017, he entered the World Masters Championship in Budapest in Hungary, and he ranked first in two events. He won 4 silver medals. He didn't win a gold, but again, this is, revolutionary not only because of his age, but again, he's only 5'8", and this master swimming is just older 6'5" to 6'8" swimmers. And connecting with Africa, again, he continued to research. So he took a DNA test, and in his DNA test, he showed that his paternal side or his father's side was 100% from the Balanta tribe. Now, the Balanta tribe is an African ethnic group. That's what they teach you in graduate school. Instead of saying tribe, it's a cultural or ethnic group because they share, again, similar ideas, beliefs, and values, and have similar cultural or ethnic practices. Um, so the Balanta ethnic group or cultural group, they reside mostly in Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and Gambia. So if you look at previous episodes, and we talked about the Afro-Franco-linguistic areas that France uses for its large influx of players, this will be some of them because all of these are French-speaking countries. So in January of 2020, this past year, he went to Guinea-Bissau to connect, and again, he was well known there because at an international master swim meet in Cairo, um, he won the meet and he held up a Guinea-Bissau flag with the Balanta tribe across from it. So this is the picture right here. You can see after winning, before he went to the medal stand, he adorned himself. If you look at the markings on his body, most people say that's Australian, but again, remember they took a walkabout from Africa and ended up in Australia. So he has tribal or cultural or ethnic markings on his body, um, symbolizing victory, spirit, and some other things that I don't know as of yet. He has the 3 medals that he won, and again the Guinea-Bissau flag, which shows the red, which is the bloodshed, the gold for the resources, and then the green for the land and economic opportunities. And then you have the one black star, similar to Ghana, which symbolizes, the star rising, etc., the country rising. So for him to do this for Guinea-Bissau, he was already a national celebrity. So when he went back, he was greeted with open arms. Um, people, and again, that picture that my lovely producer and sensei Maya just showed became viral. So at this time, he decided he wanted to establish a Belancing History and Culture Society. So other African Americans or other people that were experienced of the diaspora can find their cultural roots as well. Um, he developed YouTube videos so people can learn Zulu. Again, if you ever watched The Lion King, a lot of the words they say in there are either Zulu or Swahili. Rafiki is friend in Swahili. The circle of life, the words they're saying at the beginning, or in Zulu. The lady that sung that song, she is Zulu. Um, so he was just enlightening people to the use of the language and the culture through this YouTube channel. He also started fundraising to bring modern amenities to the rural areas of Guinea-Bissau, such as wells, solar panels for electricity, modern farming supplies. Again, he was winning these Masters events, and he realized that he still had an opportunity to go to the Olympics, and he wanted to because again he missed in college by point 0.8 of a second. So he saw his times and said, if I was swimming in the Olympics, I wouldn't win a medal, but out of the 80 swimmers, I probably finished in 50 something. So at 50 years old, that was great to him. So he decided he wanted to get back into the Olympics. So since Guinea-Bissau didn't have an Olympic committee, um, in regards to swimming. If he became a citizen, he knew the rules. He could swim in the 2020 Olympics. So again, the International Olympic Committee or the IOC, they have a universality system. And what that is, they have spots reserved for smaller countries with developing sports. Uh, and not only do they is exist for swimming, but they have one in Guinea-Bissau, and they've eased the standards for the Tokyo Games. Remember, they're introducing breakdancing as a sport now, which again is a cultural appropriation of African American and Afro Latino culture that was frowned upon, and now is being used in Europe and Asia, and it's an Olympic sport. Like, come to think of it. So what Guinea-Bissau did was they made him a citizen, and the owner of the Ledger Hotel in the capital city of Bissau, it has one of the nation's few large pools. Remember, you're on the coast of the ocean, so most people don't have like large swimming pools you can train in. They just swim in the ocean. Said he could live there for free as long as he trains other people how to swim. Because again, swimming is still not prevalent with a lot of people, even though we kind of invented swimming. So currently, right now, he's trying to get back to Guinea-Bissau and raise funds so he can get to the Olympics. Again, his times, he would not be a gold medal or a podium winner, but he would be, in the top 50%. So again, this is a quick fun fact. When the Europeans first came to West Africa, it was the West Africans that were the best swimmers. You can see pictures of people with surfboards. Again, they went, if you know anything about history, the Polynesians in Hawaii were cousins to the Africans, and they actually sent, after King Kamehameha unified the Hawaiian Islands, sent a message back for help, and some ships showed up. So there was a strong relationship even today in polyculture. If you don't marry someone Polynesian, the only person you can marry and not be frowned upon is someone of African descent, because again, they recognize the relationship. So again, at this point, he's trying to raise money, and if we could, help him do that and get back to Guinea-Bissau of that'll be great, and try to get him in the Olympics. You can follow Siphiwe Baleka on Indeed. Please subscribe to him and just donate. If you know any companies that'll help him out, please do that. And again, just talking about swimming, um, that is very important. One of the other things he does is swimming efficiency in the United States. Again, in the African American and Afro Latino community, swimming lessons aren't quite as prevalent as they used to be, and there's a lot of drownings. So again, him teaching the people of Guinea-Bissau to swim and swim on a higher level is again giving people opportunities that didn't get one, and maybe at Guinea-Bissau, someone will be at Yale and competing for this team as well again too. So let's give our final thoughts before we close out. This story to me was very inspirational, as he had a Sankofa moment as a man and kind of realized his roots. I'm not, a lot of people have experienced that. And I think that's important because once you do that and you realize you're not a minority, you're a majority in a minority location, you can then pull your cultural resources together to lift not only yourself up, but your culture and your community. Um, like most other cultures, when you tie into your ancestral homeland, you can be provided with a spiritual awakening, again, following a spiritual system that was not imposed on you via the trans-Saharan or transatlantic slave trades. You'll have cultural opportunities and economic opportunities by doing business with people that only you can do business with. As more individuals grow in knowledge, more should visit the African continent and learn our history and learn how we can create new history with knowledge and skills that we learned in the Western world. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Sports 101. Again, I'm your host, Jamar Harp. Please sure to follow me on Twitter at Coach_Harp412. And please get social with SportsZone Chicago. Follow us on Twitter at SportsZone CHI, Facebook at SportsZone Chicago, and Instagram at SportsZone Chicago. I will see you next week on our regularly scheduled time. Thank you for coming out, and I hope you have a great week.
African Americans here and across the country are contracting coronavirus at higher rates than others. People of color and those with underlying health conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, and asthma are being hit hard. Please protect yourself and your family. Wash your hands often. Clean and disinfect frequently touched items. Wear a cloth face covering in public places like the grocery store where it's hard to social distance. More importantly, stay at home as much as possible. Your safety and the safety of our community depends on it.